the morning of day 2 here at the Fish'n Canada Carp Cup. We got into Long Sault, Ontario yesterday at about 3 o'clock p.m. We spent 3 hours driving around to the different pegs, breaking them apart, seeing what they look like this year based on what we knew from last year, and the water levels are much higher this year, so we wanted to get around and see how that changed the different pegs and how they might fish. So we took that information into the peg draw. Peg draw was interesting. A lot of the pegs that we wanted to pull went early in the peg draw. We were the 17th team to choose our peg. We ended up with a good peg regardless of not getting one of the pegs that we would have preferred. Yesterday we spent the majority of our time lugging our gear into our swim, and we had a fairly large hike from where we could get access. We got the swim set up, plumbed around for depth. We picked some spots, we've baited them up, and we've worked them for the first day. We've been somewhat patient, seeing as how the results from all the other swims have only shown that, you know, most of the pegs have only had like a fish or two the first day from what we can tell, and the majority of those bites seem like they came early on day 1. Wednesday was the peg draw. Thursday we fished all day yesterday. There was a lot of fish crashing out at distance. They were a little bit out of reach for us. We did manage to pick off a couple. Well, one the first day, and then 2 just this morning. One before I got up, Clint got one. He was getting a lot of line bites, and I think he dropped a few fish, and he's got another one in the retention sling. It was a cold night. I didn't sleep overly well. I wish it was because I was up fighting fish, but I think it was more so because I was underdressed and uncomfortable. Finally got my first fish of the season. I pictured myself having a few more fish by now. I was fishing through the winter, made some trips early in the winter. Most of the water around was, you know, far too locked up and cold to really, you know, fish effectively until just recently, and I've documented some of those conditions, and they may have impacted the conditions that we're facing here today. Not to say like the river's not fishing well, it's just that, you know, every year is different, and you have to, you know, adapt, be flexible, and in order to get into numbers. So I can show you what that trip was like, trying to catch a fish through the last couple of months here. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the tournament. I wasn't concerned that we didn't really have a lot of action the first day. Last year when we were here, it took us 17 hours before we got our first bite, which was similar to John's previous video from 2017, where I think he spent 17 hours before getting a fish. The action for us last night didn't kick off quite as much as we had hoped or expected. It's still promising. We have a lot of fish surfacing at distance. I hope the wind doesn't push them off our shoreline today. I think the wind is supposed to flip and push towards the opposite shore. If we can get them to stick around, then hopefully we can pick off the odd fish through the day, and then hopefully get back into them tonight. Hopefully they found our bait, and we'll make more regular trips back to our swim. I look forward to having Ange come around, Angelo, give us some insight as to how the other pegs are doing. You know, the Facebook posts and stuff aren't as credible as hearing things from Angelo. I'm gonna finish making my first coffee. Hopefully we'll get another fish soon. Nice little bit of chaos right now. Just putting a nice fish in the retention sling, and Clint's line went off, so I gotta tie off these fish and help him net his fish in a second.
That's so funny that we were just talking about that too. I'm like, oh, should I bring it in or not? No, I think you're on a good line. Beep! So weird that they're hitting just like right now. Maybe we missed our bite window yesterday. Yeah, probably.
We need a bunch of high 20s.
Feels like a nice fish.
Then maybe get some donkeys at nighttime. We might have to start spotting again if there's this much fish around.
Yeah, you read my mind. As soon as that went off, that, believe it or not, that was like one of my That was one of the first things I thought of. I'm like, I wonder if I have enough bait out there. When it was like going to grab.
Yeah, we gotta start spotting again.
Yeah.
Even though the fish are biting it. Or should we wait a little bit?
Well, that took
teener?
That took like. Oh, that's not a teener, Dave. I don't think.
Yeah, you should move your rod.
No, that's not a good idea.
The warning labels on these buckets are for real. Don't take it lightly. He couldn't read. We got our 4 fish in the keep sacks. It's just 20 after 7 on Friday morning. We got a couple more days now to upgrade our fish. Feels good having a couple fish in the retention sacks and the slings and everything. If we don't get any more bites in the next little while, we'll top up our swim with some more bait and maybe introduce some boilies and stuff. Hopefully we can pull out some of the bigger fish that are cruising through here and crashing at distance and make a run at this, or at least take a stab at the big fish or something. There's a lot of fishing left to do. We're still very optimistic about our chances. Hopefully everyone else in the other swims is catching fish too. You know, there's a lot of effort people are putting into participating in this tournament, taking time away from their families and whatnot. Like the prize at the end is great, but you know, there's some sacrifices that go into it along the way. So hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves. I didn't really do any filming on day one. Setup was really tough. We had a far hike in from the road, and then we ended up spotting out, distance marking, plumbing for depth and spotting, and then setting up the bivvies and the tents and everything, and building the campsite. And the wind was, like I said, the wind was a little strong, and I didn't want it to drown out the microphones. And then we got the one fish late on Thursday into Friday morning. I think we're up to 6 fish now. So we've released 2, we got 4 in the retention slings. I dropped a fish. Clint's missed 2 fish. So we're 6 for 9 right now. We're anticipating things to be a little bit slow through the day, but we're hopeful to maybe pick off a couple of fish anyway. So now it's just kind of retidying and regrouping for moving into Friday night and in preparation for Saturday. We should see the marshals coming around 4 o'clock. So we got a couple hours until that takes place. The forecast has been all over the place. They were calling for the winds to flip around and but not be that really strong, but just to kind of flip around west, south, north, just kind of jumping around. They're calling for a little bit of rain now Sunday morning. They were calling for it Saturday afternoon into Sunday, but the forecast has pushed it back to Sunday morning. So hopefully when the tournament's over, we're not, putting wet gear back in the car. Hopefully the forecast just improves a little bit more. But if it doesn't improve, then hopefully the fishing does. But we're looking good. They just posted the results for day one. We're officially in last place. We got 4 fish now, and it's just a chance for us to upgrade and claw back into some sort of position where we can put ourselves in contention. There's the chance, I think, at this point, that we might have the big fish for the tournament so far. Peg 3 beside us, they had one just over 29 pounds, and I think ours, depending on how the scales work out, I think it might crack 30, but if not, it'll be hot, like over 29 pounds. The fish are still here. They just seem to be holding out in the main channel, and it's not something that we could reach. If we had a boat, perhaps we could get into some more fish, but they are crashing out quite far. We'll leave it at that, and we'll give you some updates, hopefully, if we have any more fish come in through the day. It's all fun now.
Huh?
It's all fun now. We're just upgrade.
Yep.
Alright, the weigh marshals, they're just on their way over to weigh peg 2 and 3 and work their way around to the other pegs. We had 107 pounds roughly last year, so it'd be nice to beat last year's weight. Weighed in our 4 fish. After all the culling that we did, the 4 fish that we weighed in were 24 pounds 2 ounces, 24 pounds 15 ounces, 26 pounds 6 ounces, and 30 pounds 9 ounce. Was Clint's big fish there. So yeah, I'm sure that'll place us in a better position on the leaderboard. You know, who knows how everyone else has done. You know, it's only going to matter at the end of the tournament, but it feels good to put in some solid weights and be almost at where we were last year with almost 2 days left to fish. Helped with our enthusiasm to be putting some good sized fish on the mat. We got a few things to get organized before dark. Tie up a few rigs, get all our electronics charged with the solar charger before it gets dark. Fill in our swim with some more bait. I've baited an area that's in a little bit closer to shore, and I'm fishing the inside of it, and Clint is fishing a bed of bait that's out further than mine, and he's kind of fishing the far side of it. And there's a main current that's coming down the river out from us. The current is maybe the edge of the current is the soft edge of the current is about 60 yards out. There's like a harder edge of the current that's out much further. But we're just kind of staying the edge of the slower current. We're trying to put out enough bait to stop a pot of fish from coming through and hanging around for a while. So we've got all kinds of bait out there. Everything from mussel boilies, pineapple boilies, corn pellets, pigeon feed, cattle corn. We've got all kinds of stuff out there, and certain fish might key in on different types of bait and kind of hang around longer. Clint's actually fishing the bucket corn. He made a switch halfway through the first day, and he feels confident with that now. And I got into a string of fish early in the morning, but it had been quiet. But I'm sticking with my pineapple pop-up. He's fishing like a method feeder, and I'm fishing like a monster bait rocket. We can talk about the rigging later maybe, but it feels good to be where we're at, and hopefully we can keep fishing well and put some decent sized fish up and upgrade these fish here. We'll let you know later on if anything else happens. Okay, it's just before dark now, and we're hooked up to another fish. So we're gonna sign off here. We've had a few fish since the marshals left, but we haven't been able to upgrade yet, so hopefully this is our upgrade. So I'm gonna grab the net, and I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so take two on it's getting dark now, and we have a fish on, and this might be the last time you hear from us. Yeah, so we got another one on here. We're gonna assume that this might be the last fish of the night, and before dark anyway. So I'm not gonna be doing any more filming because it's gonna be too dark. But we'll be fishing hard, hopefully upgrading. But it's good to hear that the other pegs are catching and upgrading, and because that's what everyone came to do. So I'm gonna grab the net, and we'll see you in the morning. It's been a bit of a frustrating night. We worked ourselves through maybe six fish, and none of them were upgrades. This one here's just shy of 23 pounds. I think we have a 23 pounder in the keep sack for photos, and then a bunch of fish that are in the low teens to low doubles. And then outside of that, we had twitchy takes all night that didn't result in any hookups. So we're trying to get a little bit of sleep, and all we got is receivers flashing in our eyes and beeps going all night. And if my rod wasn't beeping, Clint's rod was beeping, and vice versa. And so yeah, we're a little bit beat up from last night, and don't really have a lot to show for it. So thankfully though, we've been able to nick a few fish throughout the day, and we still have the early morning here where we got a couple fish yesterday. So hopefully we can squeak out an upgrade sometime today and keep the momentum going. So, but as it stands now, we have nothing to show the weigh marshals. Clint just landed this one here. It's about 25 pounds. If that's the case, it'll be a small upgrade to our total. If the marshal scales are weighing a little heavier than ours, then it could add a little more weight. So either way, this looks like a definite small upgrade for us. And after the night we had, it's a very welcome fish to have. So I'm gonna get this in the sling, and later this afternoon we'll find out from the marshals whether it added to our totals or not. Okay, it's Saturday morning. It's not quite 8 o'clock in the morning yet. Clint has been out fishing me by a huge amount, so I've decided to switch what I'm doing and kind of follow him. I was fishing more of a margin spot and fishing on the inside of the bait. He was fishing more of a distance spot and fishing on the outside of the bait, and we were hoping to cut off fish that were traveling like well inside the current or at the current edge. I did catch some fish, but not the number that he's got. So, you know, for the benefit of the team, I'm just gonna copy what he's doing. And I was fishing a bait rocket with like a Ronnie rig, fished like a chatty between some beads with pineapple pop-up and ESP pop-up corn, and with some pack bait on the bait rocket. And I did really well on this last year. It fishes well over weeds and rocks and presents well in lots of circumstances. But Clint's been basically catching on method feeder with some bucket corn. I'm gonna go with the monster carp corn and the ESP pop-up corn. He just has a hair rig and the kicker, but I'm gonna do more of a turbo German rig with the kicker and the pop-up corn. So we'll put that out there, and hopefully it'll benefit the team. Okay, we just finished doing some photos with the fish that we caught after dark yesterday. So we only have one fish left at the moment for the marshals to weigh in. We're hoping it'll be an upgrade of 1 pound for us. I'm still waiting for my birthday fish, but in the meantime, Chef Boyardee has come by to make me a special lunch. So I'm gonna have some butter tarts and Chef Boyardee for my birthday. We just got out of the water from doing the photos, and the water is not quite 16 degrees right now, which is just shy of 60 Fahrenheit. So if I was home right now on the Niagara River, I'd probably still be getting rainbow trout and lake trout. The carp fishing hasn't been very productive as of late, so we switched species to keep things interesting until the conditions improve. Got a nice steelhead here. And I ended up doing a lot of trout fishing this winter and into the spring, because the temperatures never warmed up quite enough for the carp fishing to really kick off. So, but thankfully the conditions here are they are what they are, and everyone's kind of in the same boat and making the most of it. So we have the rest of the afternoon and tonight and tomorrow morning to upgrade on our fish here. So might not be too many more updates right now. I'm running out of batteries, so we'll tune back in maybe after the weigh-in and or any sort of updates. But I'm gonna keep most of the filming to a minimum now, so I don't run out of batteries and end up making half a video. So talk to you soon.
Oh my god. This is going to be the best picture out of all of them. Take a couple.
Okay, we got my birthday fish. It's nice and thick. I thought it was going to be an upgrade, but it just wasn't long enough. It barely cracked 20 pounds. It was like 20 pounds, 6 ounces or something. So we got a lot of work left to do in the tournament. The updates aren't that frequent, so we don't know if there's people catching us from behind or if the guys in front are pulling ahead. But all we can do is control how we fish. We can't control everyone else, so we just have to fish our best. We're gonna fill in the spots that have been productive. We're gonna put both our rigs pretty much on the same spot, and hopefully we can get a couple upgrades before the wee hours of the end of the tournament and take a charge at this. But regardless, I'm happy with our results, but always hungry for a little bit more. It's good to see John and Demir are up there. Kevin and Goldie are getting into fish. So the Niagara teams are doing well. You know, Jesse's team is doing well. You know, it's his first trip to the tournament. It's good to see everyone getting into some fish. Hopefully nobody blanks this year, because that's a tough pill to swallow. Zach and Armand are they're upgrading now. They're over 4 fish, so they're having a much better result this year. So, anyways, I got to get back to spotting and tidying up our swim. There's some rain coming in tonight, so we gotta get rid of all the loose ends, so we're not dragging a bunch of stinky wet gear home at the end of the tournament. It's about 3:45 on Saturday. The weigh marshals came by early. The one fish that we weighed in, it was an upgrade. I think we might have picked up 2 pounds. So I think we're around 108 pounds right now. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of changes to the leaderboard based on the feedback that we had gotten from the marshals, but who knows? Anything could change between now and the time they get around to the other pegs. The second half of Saturday was pretty slow. The winds kind of flipped to the northeast, and the winds were a little bit wonky, but so things slowed down for the second half of the day. Apparently there's a bit of a cold front moving through tonight, through the evening and into tomorrow morning. Everyone's kind of anticipating that the cold front coming through might make the fish a little bit more active. If that's the case, then hopefully everyone gets a couple of upgrades and puts in some good weights for the marshals. We're going to do whatever we can in advance of this, just to kind of stay ahead of the game. We're going to kind of fill in our swims now with the rest of the ground bait and that we brought along. And we're going to kind of start packing down the non-essentials, start drying out whatever's wet, and then just so we can concentrate on fishing as much as possible tomorrow, instead of scrambling and trying to clean up the site and trying to upgrade our weights and stuff all at the same time. So there's never really a lot of downtime. You know, it's been a long tournament, and you know, the sleep deprivation and the physical exertion in that is it's kind of taking a toll. So it's a bit of a mental game and a physical game, and you know, it's all in the hand of the carp gods right now. So hopefully everyone puts in some good effort, and it makes for an interesting finish. So I'm gonna sign off for now, and then hopefully we can do an update with the big fish later on or something. But if not, you know, we'll figure things out. I think the tournament finishes up tomorrow at 2, so if we catch anything, the marshals are coming by at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and if we catch anything after the marshals are by, then we have to send them a text so that they can come back to the peg and weigh our fish. But it's going to be a whirlwind at the end, and hopefully everyone's happy with the results. We're heading into the last night. Fish'n Canada Carp Cup. There's some ridiculous weights being posted. The one peg's got, from what we heard, has already got 330s. So I think they're going to be on their way to a 120-pound weight for 4 fish. I feel like we're still in the hunt for second, but we still got to post an upgrade, I feel, to hopefully hold on to that. This fish has been through some rough times. Hopefully we're not going to be having any rough times tonight. He's got a big lump on his one gill plate here, and he's missing his pectoral fin there. And then on this side he's got no eyeball. So I don't normally name any fish, but I would like to call this fish Ricky Martin. I'm gonna put Ricky back. And,
One-eyed Willie.
Anyways, enough jokes. We gotta get serious and finish this tournament on a high note. See you, Ricky. I got my 4th fish of the night in the mat here. The first one was small in the middle of the night. I just unhooked it in the net and sent it on its way. I'm gonna take another run here in a second. Okay, we'll send this little guy back. Send that fish back. Sort this fish out. The second fish was potentially an upgrade. We got it in the sack. We think it might add maybe 2 pounds to our weight. The next fish was just 20 pounds. It's in the sling here. I might take a picture with it before we let it go. The fourth fish there was just slipped back. And I'm fighting number 5. We were in second after 2 days. Since then we've been leapfrogged by Jason and Simon, pushing us down into third. And there's rumors that Andrew may have upgraded by 10 pounds with a larger fish. So we could be down into fourth at this point. So we're hoping for a decent upgrade before we end the tournament here. Try to finish strong. This one doesn't look like an upgrade either. Just popped that last fish off in the net. Sent it on its way. Gonna get a new rig out and hopefully get an upgrade. 5:30 now, so we got like 6.5 hours left. Plenty of time to get into some big fish. Oh, double soaker. Okay, got a little crazy. Clint took a run. Unfortunately, another fish, but not an upgrade. This one took a 20 mil pineapple plum pop-up, so he's going back. Still hunting for some upgrades. After a bunch of twitchy takes through the night, Clint was getting frustrated with his alarm going off and nothing happening, so he upsized his hook bait to 20 mil pineapple plum pop-up, and hoping if it was some smaller fish messing around with his hook bait that it would take that away, and that way his alarm would only go off if it was an actual take with a big fish. And it kind of worked. We've got, since we spoke last, we got another upgrade anyway, we think. It looks a lot bigger than it is on my scale, so hopefully it weighs well when the marshals come around. But it's nice to be putting some bigger fish on the mat again after weeding through so many smaller fish. We've had a look at the standings and that, and you know, hopefully by the end of the tournament everybody will have some fish on the mat. and drive home satisfied with how the tournament went. But anyways, we got about an hour and a half until the marshals come around, at which point we'll weigh the fish that are here, and then if we have any fish after that we think are an upgrade, then we're gonna have to send them a text message, and then they'll come back to the swim and weigh the fish for us. But we're in the the last couple hours of the tournament now. There's like less than 5 hours left, so we decided not to do any spotting or anything this morning. We tried to fill in the swim yesterday. We figured the conditions would be pretty calm this morning, and we wanted the bait to be in the swim already, so we're kind of starving the swim. Plus we knew the conditions were going to be calm, so we didn't want to be we didn't want to be crashing around with our spoms and stuff. As you can see, the action is still happening, so I'm gonna go help Clint out with this fish here and throw him the net, and hopefully we got ourselves an upgrade, but if not, we'll talk to you later. It's been a great tournament, the weather's beautiful, and we're having a blast.
Might be an upgrade, bro.
Okay, there's about 40 minutes left in the tournament. We just went through like at least a dozen 20-pound left. Sending this little guy back. We're heading back to the conference center to check out the results. I may have slipped our last fish of the tournament back in the water just as the camera, my other camera died. Getting some water on the lens here, so I'm going to keep this short. We're headed back to the conference center for the awards and the results. And we got about half an hour left, maybe 40 minutes to fish. But I'm thoroughly happy with how we did. The conditions, the tournament, everything was a blast, and looking forward to sharing stories and comparing notes with everybody else back at the conference center and in the days to come. So with that being said, if you want to check out the results, you can go to the Fish'n Canada Carp Cup Facebook page, and you can see all the weights and see what's going on for next year's tournament. As it stands for now, I gotta go pack up my gear, so I'm not too late getting back to the conference center. So I had a blast. Can't wait to do this again next year.